just crawl. You can't find your own feet.
Hey, this is Patty Duke. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Excellent. So, okay, let me see. We're good?
Yeah.
Okay, we're recording. Basically, we'll make this, won't be too long. We're just going to talk about If Tomorrow Comes and a little bit about Lou and stuff like that.
Okay, great.
Okay?
Yep.
Alrighty. Oh, yes, and Lou told me this morning to send his affections to you before I forget.
Bless his heart. Thank you. Please send mine back. Isn't that lovely?
Yes. He's a great man. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just basically start. Go ahead and tell me what If Tomorrow Comes was about. Basically the premise.
I will tell you, at least what I know from my perspective, what it was about. But first, I have to mention that it was originally called The Glass Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what the heck that meant, but I was intrigued by it. And I have been disappointed ever since that they changed the title. So just tell that to Lou. He'll like that. It was about, I remember it being likened to a kind of Romeo-Juliet story. During the days of the god-awful internment camps where we interred the Japanese Americans, mostly on the West Coast, but it happened elsewhere as well. I play a kind of, small town high school girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm embarrassed that I can't think of the young man's name who played the boyfriend. But, we just had a regular teenage thing going on. And then all of this horror happens around it and then in it when his family is taken away, including him. It was for me, I was 22-ish when I did this. And I certainly was aware that this atrocity had happened, but really very superficially. And playing this role and spending time with Lou, I really felt that I had an opportunity to really learn as hands-on as you can get, except, if you were really there.
Right.
And it was a powerful, powerful experience for me. I remember talking about superficial. I had just had a baby, and I looked at and I remember being terribly self-conscious about that. And in later years, when I've looked at the film, it was perfect, because this was not a sylph-like a little Hollywood girl. This was just a regular old American girl.
Actually, yeah, Lou had mentioned that, and he said that you'd probably actually bring that up. So he said, make sure
you knew I would bring it up, because how many years is it now? I've been self-conscious.
He's like, no, she'll talk about it. Go ahead, ask her about it, and
Oh yes, I was terribly self-conscious about it. At the same time, thrilled, number one, to have a job, and a close number two, that it was this job, and that it was with a group of people spearheaded by Lou, in my opinion, who really did the kind of work that I hadn't done for a long time. Meaning, when I did live television in the 50s, live dramatic television, and of course in the theater in New York, there was a real delving into all of the fabric of the stories, whatever they were, and the the energy and intensity of the people was motivating and exciting, and that's what I found when I met and spent time with Lou. And I really, besides my excess weight, I really felt that I was working the way I meant to work when I was in his company.
And when was the first time you actually got to meet Lou? Was it on the set there, or
You know what?
what were your thoughts about his personality? Oh, I'm sorry. What was his one of the first times that you ever you met Lou, and what did you think about his personality and how he is?
It could have been very dangerous because his personality is right up my alley. Quiet, that quiet. For folks who need a familiar image, kind of an Arthur Miller kind of countenance.
Mm-hmm.
And that, of course, was intriguing to me. His very soft-spoken, but not weak voice. And it's funny that this should be something of note, but it is in our industry. He really looked in my eyes when he talked to me. And sadly, that isn't the norm.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you can tell he was being, straight on with you. He was being real honest and straight on with you. You mean?
Absolutely. There was no hidden agenda there.
Mm-hmm.
And that was about the time of my life where I had begun to look for hidden agendas. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't find one. At any rate, when I started, I was facetious saying it was dangerous, but certainly had he not been so secure in his own life, and had I not been distracted by this infant, I might have, tried harder to make a different kind of relationship.
Okay. Let's go back when you said about you had a superficial idea of the film, and when you look back on it now, what social significance do you think a film like that had?
I tell you, I don't know of many films like that, but I think the social significance is far more penetrating when we're trying to get a message across, when it is handled in a familiar kind of everyday way, so that more of us can really identify. Because in my opinion, the way I get sucked in as an audience is if I identify, then I go on that journey with the player. And I think that was part of the mystique that the script and the film had. And yet, back in the day, not all of the powers could see that. Mm-hmm. It didn't. We weren't killing and maiming people, and we weren't crashing cars off the roofs of buildings. And I think that we may have gotten much more attention if there weren't those other kinds of television movies and movies banging the drum louder.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly, very subjectively, for me, it was real education that I could wrap my emotional self in.
Right.
And I believe that's what it was for the audience as well.
And so, okay, this was, I believe, if I'm right, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was one of the first, I don't think it was the first, but it was one of the first movies of the week. Do you remember that at all?
It was certainly early on.
What was the feeling about movies of the week at that time? Do you know?
Well, we were the stepchild.
Really?
For a little while. Then, of course, they took off like a big-ass bird.
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, they weren't the stepchild anymore. But for me, they were absolutely life and career saving.
Mm-hmm.
I was given a niche or found a niche, and it was thanks to television movies that my career lasted, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to work with wonderful people, brand new people, and other people like me who'd been around the block a few hundred times, but they'd found a new home in TV movies.
Yeah, definitely. Tell us, okay, let's go back a bit too, sorry.
That's all right.
Can you tell me how, like the process, how you got the script and when you first read it, what were your thoughts about it? Was it something, the material-wise, we talked a bit about it. Right. It's a little different.
Yeah. Again, let's remember the framework that I was in at the time. I had a 3-week-old baby.
Right.
So that was really where my focus was.
Mm-hmm.
Then the call came that said I was getting this offer, and since I was quite a spendthrift at the time, I was thrilled that I could earn some money. As I read the script, it fascinated me as history. It touched that part of me that feels shame, because I'm not Japanese American. I feel, guilty. Part of that whole guilty mindset that did that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then when it got into the romantic part, I loved that anyone would think that I could play something like that was a real kick to me. And then, of course, instantly I remembered that I was fat. So I didn't meet with anybody, and I'll bet you, I don't know this for a fact, but I'll bet you that had to do with I didn't want them to see that I was still carrying baby fat. That's something with the kind of usual negotiation of the time, back and forth. She wants this, she wants that, she wants this, she wants that. Okay, she'll take this, she'll take that. And I know that my anxiety and my sense of excitement grew pretty intense by the time it was time to go to work. And the only thing that really would ever sort of take me off that little ride I was on was changing the baby's diaper or feeding him. He turned out to be Sean, by the way.
Yeah.
And he went to work with me, and that was okay with everybody, which was a miracle back then. And truth be known, I just did not want the experience to end.
Uh-huh. Do you have a favorite scene at all, or is it just...
Yeah, I do, but I wasn't in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What scene was that?
It's the scene where the family is packing up, and they've got this piece of paper that tells them what they're allowed to bring. And it was an actual copy of what existed back in those days. And
really,
to stand there and read this thing, honest to God, I'm already pretty damn short, but I felt shorter and shorter and shorter. I mean, I almost was embarrassed to look at the Japanese American actors.
Really?
Because this was such abject, shameful behavior. At any rate, they were allowed to take a spoon, a toothbrush, a cup, a blanket, and to see them, the dignity with which they packed each item and the grace with which they looked around at their lifelong belongings. That they were walking away, didn't know where the hell they were going or what was going to happen to them. But there was such grace and dignity. And that's my favorite thing.
Great. What? Now, were you ever concerned, though, about the material of the time? I know it had been several, let's see here, this is what, 1971, I believe.
Yeah.
Pearl Harbor was 30 years before.
Yeah. I was not. Now, to be honest, when you were doing TV movies, it was really neat if there was something that was controversial, or from which controversy could be extrapolated. So that kind of heightened the atmosphere, if you will. I remember one of the first interviews I did about the film while we were filming, and I felt so inept because I really felt that I hadn't learned the whole story yet. And again, I don't know that I could ever learn the real story, but I'm a very empathetic person, and I can project myself into situations like that. So I certainly, I don't think, without having been involved with Lew and this film, I don't think I would have had the kind of knowledge and simpatico that I wound up having for Japanese Americans.
Wow. Okay. We'll just wrap it up here. We've already caught you for 20 minutes. What do you think Lew has done for the world of writing and television, for that matter? I guess. I know that's such a broad question, but
it's a broad question, but it's a good provocative one. I think if he had never put pen to paper or typewriter to or computer or whatever mode he's using, just his mere presence and what he emanates as he goes through the world cuts a very healthy path. And certainly, if we could all have souls like his, I think it would be an easier world to live in. With his writing, I think he has that chord that connects to the part of our souls that hungers for knowledge, but also hungers to feel, to really feel. And I think that his sincerity in his writing is what provokes us to be able to respond to his material.
Okay, great. Well, hey, thank you for calling us so much.
Oh, Chance,
we'll let you go.
And please give Lew a big hug.
I will. I know he's, he talks very fondly of you, and, he enjoyed working with you a lot.
I can remember a funny little vignettes of sitting, in the director's chairs with your names on it, those things. But in a kind of really messy kind of woods. And just sitting there and talking and chatting about nothing in particular.
Just life, yeah.
But everything that matters. And they are treasured memories for me.
Well, that's great. I know he has a lot, of you, and he talks very fondly of you, and he wanted to make sure, though, that, he send his affections, and he's thinking of you, and hope all is well with you and yours in your life.
All right. Could you keep me on a list if you have such a thing, to let me know when it's finished and
the film?
Hello?
Hello?
Hi there. Sorry, yeah. I think I put my ear in the wrong the phone. Anyway, I just want to be able to see it or know what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. Yeah, we'll definitely. We'll send you a copy of it. Obviously, I know where.
Postcards will do.
What's that?
A postcard or an email will do.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, right. We'll definitely keep you in touch with you.
Oh, thanks, Chance.
Okay.
Good care.
Thanks, Patty.
Bye, dear.
Okay, bye.